You're just setting things up. I don't like how YouTube changed YouTube Studio. Makes it a lot harder to get into the animation part of my the live streaming part of the software website. I mean, I think the streams should be in order, but it's gonna be backwards because I'm labeling like one, like the first. Unless I'm not numbering it right. Hold up. Or there is a stream there are two streams. I know there are two streams numbered 6 because they happen on the same day. I had to disconnect and reconnect my stream because I was having issues. So it has the same name, but they're both on the same day. At the end of my animation process, I hope to compile all the videos into all the streams into one video so I can do a time lapse of the entire animation, post it on YouTube. Yeah, welcome to stream. So for anyone who's new here, basically, I have to make a short film under 3 minutes long by the end of February so I can officially enter the latter part of the animation degree. They usually do this in colleges because they don't want just anyone taking the degree, or at least prevent people who are not experienced enough yet from taking the degree, because they don't want people to get into something that they're not able to do, and then they fail too much and they can't continue. I think there's a limit to how many times you can attempt a class. Yeah, this stream I take this opportunity to just show off my process, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Oh, thank you. For natural movements, I actually found an entire channel dedicated for the bird one. I found an entire channel dedicated to just making videos, slow motion videos of birds flying. So there's actually entire channels that give you references for stuff like running, jumping, doing anything in animation. So those are good references to take from. One of the animations that I did, I actually recorded myself doing it. Just went from there. Had my little sister just record me walking backwards for one of the animation, because it's very hard to get deliberate slow movements in animation because it takes more frames in a faster movement. Like, you can hide a lot of stuff in fast animation, but it's very hard to hide stuff in slow animation. So for slow animation, it takes a lot more information, a lot more references, and a lot more thinking. Another method that I learned to get lifelike animation is slow in and slow out. So basically, like, say for example, if you threw, I'll just draw this. So let's say a ball is coming from right here. When it comes to gravity, so the ball is going up, right? It's going up, but there's gravity pushing it down. Gravity's force increases over time, which means as the ball goes up, it slows. Then because the gravity is accelerating the speed, it increases in speed. So when you animate, you have to keep in mind how, if it's slow ins and slow outs. Or maybe you want to do like a fast, like the character goes fast into a movement and slows down, it goes faster. But good animation combines fast movements and slow movements. If an animation is too slow, it feels sluggish. But if an animation is too fast, you won't be able to understand what's happening. Like for this animation. If you look here, this frame is about 10 frames long. Then I go into a smaller frame that's about 4 frames long. Then one that's about 3 frames. Increases to 4 again. But then it goes back to smaller frames. Then it gets really small. Then the frame size, the length and duration of frames increases. Then it gets the duration gets longer. Then it decreases because it's a fast movement. So basically, the rhythm for the movement I was trying to get was stuff like this. I was trying to get like a series of arcs of it moving fast and slowing down, moving fast and slowing down, kind of like that. And for the animation of the eye, I found a tutorial online on YouTube. Best resource for references. And the animator actually broke down how to make a realistic eye blink. And slowed down the eye movement, the eye blinking for me, so I didn't have to slow down myself. Also, another important part of making lifelike animation, I just remembered, is exaggerating movements. Like in this frame, I have the bird getting squashed horizontally. It's crouching down. Then I have the bird like it looks like a diagonal line. I'm exaggerating the force outward in that direction. I use inking tools to sketch it out. So that what I used to do was I got an airbrush and I thinned it out and I drew with it. But something I learned from an animator. Oh, it's fine. Something I learned from an animator, like Ethan Becker, is that you should use a pen tool. Tools used for inking because it forces you to make good lines in the first shot. So what I used to do is get stuff like this and draw with this. But because the lines are so thick, it makes it harder later on for you to do line art because there's so many different placements for the line art you can. It allows for too much indecision, basically. But a pen tool or inking tool is the best method for sketching. Like when you sketch in real life, that's part of the reason why some colleges make you draw traditionally and realistically first, so that you can get confident with drawing with lines. A good practice they gave me was doing contour lines. Basically, with the contour line exercise, you have to what's it called? Okay, you stare at the object you want to draw, right? It could be a skull or it could be boxes. And you can only look at the paper for about 30% of the time you're drawing. And you cannot lift your pencil off the paper. So what it forces you to do is think about how every part and shape of the scene is connected to each other. And you have to draw it all with one line. And what that does is that forces you to be confident with your line making. And it really did help. Now I can draw in betweens in like 5 minutes. Before when I tried animating, it'd take me about 30 minutes. Whoops, made the smear wrong. That's a better smear. I try my best from now to limit the amount of frames I'm using, because them get the line are all of this. The line art's probably gonna be the hardest part. Yeah, I think I'll be able to finish this scene. The next, let me give myself a goal. I only have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames left. 15 minutes. I'm trying to stretch the bird as much as possible to get that movement going. If you ever seen the jokes about never freeze Naruto and stuff, right? Okay, I should probably start doing that. Okay, so basically, how I want this scene to go is that this bird is staring at the scene below, which is the monster grabbing the woman. And basically, what I want the bird to do is to go from the top of the ledge and go to the main character to let the to let the main character know where the monster is. So I've seen something similar in a show I've seen. I don't remember which show it is. But basically, I'm having the scene reflect off the person's eye. The bird blinks so that to like show it's changing its focus to something else. Like I have to go back to the main character to tell him what's going on. Then I have the bird fly away. In order for it to feel more natural, I have the bird move to the left. No, move to the right a little, just so the viewer can see that it's going to move away from the scene and go into the next scene. In the next scene, I'll have the bird land on the main character's shoulders. So this is a more simple background scene. For the latter parts, it's gonna get more complicated, and I'm gonna have to spend the most time on it. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is it's just trial and error. Like I draw them. So what I do is that I draw keyframes. So my keyframes in my animations are symbolized by just regular numbers. Like this right here at the bottom, that is a 6, which means it's a keyframe. This is a 7, which means it's another keyframe. All the ones with the letters beside it and the numbers, letters and numbers, they're just in-betweens. So they are the information between the keyframes. So 2D animation is that you get your key poses. Then the important part is what does the character do to reach that keyframe. So for this is just simple. The bird flaps its wings down and it goes into the keyframe in which the bird is almost away from the scene. So in order for me to organize that, I just quickly sketch it out. I don't need the bird to look realistic. Oh, general animations, I see. So for my process, I usually just try and just quickly get blocks of shapes. Like things that I used to draw birds realistically, draw birds and animals realistically. So I was able to have a general idea of how to like block in the shape of a bird. So for the beak, it's like a rectangular block. The circle is just the head. The wings are just like trapezoids. The tail feathers are just long triangles. And the feet are just circles. Like at first when I was animating this, I just had like semicircles for the feet and just had them move around. And after I had the feet and the head, I just put in the body. So afterwards, I put in the in-betweens for the very rough sketch. And I then made so Clip Studio has a feature in which you can make an entire folder turn blue. And what it does is so that you can just draw on top of it. Okay, so I turned it blue. I make a new layer and I draw on top of it. And I draw in the keyframes first. I find for to keep characters consistent, you draw the keyframes first, then you do all the in-betweens later. Yeah, after that's just another after done sketching, an important thing I have to do is timing. What some animators do is that they'll have timing at the end, but I like to do it from now so I don't have to face issues. And I put it into a video editing software, and I have to like edit everything, put in lighting stuff. But that's a totally different topic. I haven't gone to that. That's like it's called compositing. Basically, you add special effects at the very end of the animation process, like after you do the coloring and the line art. Some animators they try and do it all in the animation software, but it's much more efficient to do it in the video editing stage. Like if you've ever seen like a character get hit and it makes like this effect, like a character gets hit with something like a crowbar, and there's this effect. Like I can do that in the video editing stage. I can make like a video or a GIF of just like that effect and just copy and paste it everywhere in the scene. And I want to. It makes it more efficient. But for right now, I'm just doing the animation process. If an animation feels clunky, I either rearrange the frames, or what some animators encourage is that if an animation doesn't feel like it's up to your standards, just erase it. That's why you don't put a lot of time into you put more thinking into the sketch than into drawing the sketch. It's because it's a chance you could just erase the entire thing. Like in one of my previous animations, I just erased the entire rough sketch because it wasn't up to to standards I wanted. This bird wings off. Also, one thing I try and keep in mind is that because I'm doing line art by myself, I have to make sure I do not make a lot of frames. So I try and limit the amount of frames I have. Well, that was weird. I was just called by I don't know who. Hello. Alrighty, that should be the scene done. Another thing that you should do if you're animating a drawing is you flip the canvas horizontally and look at the animation from a different perspective. Like sometimes it'll look weird or ugly, but the main thing you want to look out for is, does anything look very off to you? It's a very important method for drawing, especially if you're trying to draw a character or object from the front view, so it's symmetrical. Try and draw something symmetrical, flip the canvas. Ready? Also, never forget to save. Never forget. I'm just gonna stretch real quick. Never forget, never forget to stretch. It's very important. Sitting for a long period of time can affect your health. Well, for the storyboard, you do some timing. But I did a really rough storyboard because I'm doing it all by myself. If I was a storyboard artist, I'd have to pay much more attention to timing. But since I didn't really do timing, okay, so I structured the scenes. The main character, there's you see the ruins, the ghost town, and the hero walks in, sees that someone has entered and that there's a monster. There are monster tracks. So that's like the beginning scene. For timing, I mean like the transition between scenes. Like for example, there's a transition between the bird's eye blinking and the bird taking off. There's about 8 frames between that. So what I did was when I was like doing a rough sketch, I pretended that I was a viewer waiting for something to happen. If the blinking scene, like the end of the blinking scene was too long, it would look very awkward. If it was too short, the viewer would be like, wait, what's going on? Why did this scene change so quickly without warning? Because I'm freezing the scene. Okay, so there are about 8 frames of you just look into the character's eye. Into the character's eye. There's no movement, which means the viewer is anticipating something to happen, something to change. And so when they anticipate that, I have to change to here. A new scene. So there's only so much you can plan in the storyboard. The sketching of the animations where you really get into timing. Because sometimes timing can affect the animation you're making. Also, storyboarding is only like a guide. You don't have to really stick to the storyboard. Right, so how I'm structuring my animation now is I do like one or two scenes for an animation and I save it as a separate file. So when the animation part comes in, I can. Okay, so something that I learned from an animator is that when a file is large, it's easy for it to corrupt. So I separate my animation scenes into different files. So God forbid if one of them were to like crash or get corrupted, I still have my rest of my animation intact. Storyboarding animation. So a lot of the concepts from storyboarding I had already learned because I had to make paintings and draw illustrations. Like I used to draw a lot of dragon illustrations. So I already learned the concept of composition. So basically for storyboarding is you want a good composition for when you're drawing. I believe the Etherton Bros they make a lot of good animation or composition tutorials. Yeah, I'll try to explain. Okay, so say you have a scene, right? This is the example of storyboarding. You want like say for example, you want a short character to be talking to two large characters. This is the short character. These are two tall characters. This is boring. This is not good composition. A more interesting composition would be to have the camera angle from below so the two tall characters look scary, and then have the small character looking up. Or you could do the camera angle from above and have them staring down at the character to exaggerate their size. Look, that's why storyboarding is important. Some tips for storyboarding. Um, don't don't bother. Don't put a lot of effort into drawing. Just okay. So, like, say for example, you want to storyboard this bird pecking at a flower. Just quickly draw the flower, put some circles, then draw a beak, the bird body. Like that's one frame of a storyboard. Don't put a lot of effort into drawing the details. Put effort into drawing the shapes. The general shapes of an object make composition. So what people do when they draw realistically is that they break the body down into shapes. They say the bird's a series of triangles, pentagon, like two sticks. Then that's like a rough sketch for a realistic if you want to do realism. Then after they do that, on top of that, they draw on the details. Drawing realistically helps you to break stuff down into shapes. You have to at least get the concept of how to break down a character in order to storyboard. Which is why I like making characters with rough, like sharp angles. It's because it simplifies their silhouette, so it's easier to draw them. Okay, so I have now storyboarded this section of my animation. So I'm gonna have to like make a thumbnail. So I have two options. I could have the hero walking in, then after the hero walks for a little, the bird comes in and tells it that the monster's over there. Or I can have the hero already looking at the monster. It saves some time. Yeah, I'm gonna have the character looking at the monster from the alley. Open the end of the alley. Make things a lot easier. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly sketch the background. Just supposed to be something simple. Oh, before I go on, another thing that's important about making compositions is that there's a composition rule called the rule of thirds, which basically is imagine a grid of 3 lines that evenly cut the canvas, right? You want the most interesting parts or the focal points to be somewhere here along these lines. Somewhere along these like this area, this general area in red. If it's too close to center, it makes the composition look boring. If it's too far to the edge, the focal point, if it's too close to like over here, it makes it doesn't feel as balanced. Like it's too far away. Like it's like the artist didn't really think it was important for it to be close to center. So it just makes the composition less balanced. So that's an important rule. There should be some great tutorials for it. Some photographers have to use this rule when making photography. On some phones, there should actually be a 3x3 grid. And you can use that grid to take pictures. So for me, I'm actually having the edge of the wall on the third and one of the lines that end for the rule of thirds, one of the center lines. Actually, I think I'm gonna change that. Oh, it's no problem, no problem. Talking about animation reminds me of the rules I need to keep myself because it's easy for me to forget. Like right now, my goal is to make a simple scene that doesn't feel simple and it's easy to animate. Hmm. Oh, he's got an idea. He's got an idea. Just got an idea. So I'm gonna have the bird do is just go on the hero's shoulder. Then after it goes on the hero's shoulder, it's gonna zoom out and it's gonna be very dramatic. And the hero's gonna reach for a weapon. And it's gonna be some salt. So basically I want the funny scene for the movie to be the hero's gonna try and fight the monster with salt. So something I learned is that scenes that are taken, like if a camera's below a character, it makes the scene easier to draw because a lot of the background is the sky because it's being pointed from below. It also makes a dramatic scene. It's good for making a dramatic scene. So we can have it from below like this. Just sketch the hero quick. Also, when you rough out the sketches, it makes it a lot easier to make the layers separate because I'm going to be doing a lot of erasing. Try to exaggerate it. I'm just going to draw 2 circles for the bird. I'm going to have it reach for... It's going to look like he's reaching for his gun. The next scene, like this is going to be a more complicated scene because there's going to be multiple characters in the same thing, the same scene. Those are always hard to animate. Okay, now I'm going to look at the timing. And imagine the scene before I start sketching more frames. Okay, the perspective is a little wonky. We have to change that. But the composition's looking good so far. Okay, I'm going to insert 50 more frames. That's about 2 seconds. And in the next scene, I'm going to have it look like the monster is about to eat the woman. And the reason why, another good reason why I had the scene of the monster grabbing the woman in the bird's eyelid is to show that she's in danger, and that the bird's going to a person who can help. So, and storyboarding, another good tip, just thought of it, is that remember you were trying to tell a story. When you write stories, you have to foreshadow stuff. Like give hints to the viewer that something's about to happen and what will happen. Like when you foreshadow that a character is about to jump forward, you have them crouched down, right? That's a form. That's kind of like foreshadowing. You're foreshadowing the character about to jump. Okay, so to make this scene simple, I'm just gonna have one. I'm not gonna draw. I'm probably gonna draw like 2 frames for this scene, 2 or 3 frames. Have the monster about to eat her, and I'm gonna have the chunk of salt. Like this could draw square. About to hit the monster, and there's gonna be just a pause in the action. Then the monster's gonna dramatically turn, and it's gonna look angry. Then it's gonna see the hero looking awkward. No, this mouse looks really weird. Oh, it's good enough for now. Actually, I should have the chunk of salt in another layer. Alright, now I'm gonna start in-betweening. Alright, I'm gonna have the bird land on the character. I'm going to have the bird kind of look like it's arcing, so it looks more natural. Like I'm planning the movement ahead, like bird's gonna swoop down, his head's gonna come over here. The head is over up here, but I want it to curve down over here. Alright, since it's a keyframe, I'm gonna put a little more time into it. Alright, for this scene, I'm gonna look up an animation of a bird landing. I plan to make this about 4 frames, since the bird's gonna be falling pretty fast. Alright, this feels a little stiff. Alright, it looks a little better. It's gonna be confusing transitioning from a scene where the bird's flying away to the scene where the bird's landing on. It's gonna make it more dramatic. Kind of hype up the character. It's gonna do something crazy like throw salt. That feels a bit better. Like the bird's not gonna speed up as it falls. Try to slow down so it doesn't hurt itself. I'm probably gonna edit this in like a video editing software to transition. Maybe I can simplify this. I decided to change it. Didn't feel right. Transition. Yeah, this seems getting tricky. Alright. No, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's better. That, yeah, this is okay. Let me replay it. Now watch, I'm gonna do something so it looks very different and very quickly. I'm going to add a camera, 2D camera. I'm gonna put my files in. Okay, I accidentally rearranged all my files. Okay, that's better. Okay. Now I have a camera. So what I'm gonna do is this is something to do in anime to save frames. Gonna put hold frames first so I don't mess up. Okay. Now watch this. It's moving. Hold up S to load. Oh, actually messed up. Hold up. This work better now. Right, let's try that again. Right, should work now. Okay, now I wanted to do the same thing for the hand for anticipation. Ready? Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it needs more space between the frames. So, insert about 10 frames. Now see how it looks. And let's see how that looks. Well, I unintentionally made it so that it looks like it's zooming away from the bird. I actually have my wrist brace on too tight. My fingers are numb. Oh my gosh, hold up 1 second. Oh my gosh. Now you can insert more frames and try again. Okay. Okay. Come on, music, don't do this to me. There you go, music. Oh, this is about 10 seconds of animation right here. At least planned out. That's a good chunk. Can we try that again? Try and get the transitions right. I'm trying to make him seem like a mysterious character when he's not really. I think this stream's gonna be shorter. I'm still tired from the new exams I've taken this course. I think it's first end of year. I'll be able to come up with more ideas next time. I hope to stream Sunday. As always, I'm streaming Tarkai Samurai on Apex, hopefully tomorrow. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.